One of the things I'm going to ask you guys to do while we're together is network. And networking gets a bad rap. We think it means, here's my business card, call me up, check out my blog, listen to my podcast, even though we just met. I don't even know how to find your podcast, right? So I'm going to teach you a tactic. I've shared this a lot with my friends and folks that I mastermind with. It's called the strategic selfie. Okay, and this is what you're going to do. Have a conversation with somebody, and this is what happens at any networking event. Great, do you have a card? You have no intention of calling that person, don't you, right? Like you're going to take that stack of cards and throw it out. So here's what I want you to do instead. I want you to take out your phone and say, Jennifer, it's been great to meet you. Can we stay in touch? Yeah, here's how we're going to do that. Whip out your phone, take a selfie, right, the two of you, and say, where can I email this to? Now what you have is their email address. And this is a safe place to do it because I know all of you. So I can vouch for each and every one of you. Don't worry, there are no creepy people in this room. All right, so if someone asks you, let's take a picture together, you have full, don't pass out business card. I mean, you can if you got a new one and you want to show it off because Jason Clement designed it for you. That's fine, okay? But this tactic has worked for me like a charm, because people recognize you when you're in a photo together. If you want to take it another level, just tweet them and tag them in your tweet or your LinkedIn post or Facebook and tag each other. You'll connect so much easier at the end of the day. Okay, so I want to encourage you to do that. The strategic selfie. But the flip side of that is this, in relation to this question, who do you have to become in order to serve the people you want to serve? Years ago, in 2013, I started working in marketing at this company. They made me the CMO of the company. And it was a good job, a very good job, very well-paying job. I was making 6 figures. They gave me the corner office. Long story short, after a couple of years there, just cutting my teeth in marketing, the company 6x'd its profits. And here's the story behind the story. They loved me. I was a hero, of course. Listen, when you make people money, they love you, right? And the thing was, I know I have a room full of folks here who are grateful people. You guys see the world through a lens of gratefulness and gratitude. And this was the hard truth. I'm going to be really honest. There were days where I felt like me being thankful for what I had was keeping me from the best. It was almost like gratefulness was masking the pain or the yearning or the pull that I was feeling to something. And so I flipped the strategic selfie on its head and I started doing this, which is what I call the sadistic selfie. This is literally me in my corner office. This is going to be in the the Museum of Modern Art. I know some of you went out to the city this weekend, and this is this death by conference call. That's what I'm going to call the piece. And that was literally me in the corner office with a 6-figure job, dying. And so I had this sadistic idea one day. I don't know. I just started taking pictures of myself in my own office when I was this miserable. My wife took this picture. She visited me at work. This whole thing was mine. And she just walked in and she said, "Shh." She's like, "What is wrong?" This is me at the window. And what I did was I created a whole photo album of these photos to remind me of what was really going on inside my heart. And it was a tough battle because I knew I should be grateful and I should be thankful and I have food and I have a roof over my head. But that is not like normal. You know what I mean? Like that's like not, I think, what God created us to be like. You understand? So there was this tension between the two. And, there are days like I'd go to work and these are photos that my wife took of me before I went to work one day, and I forgot to do my hair. I was like literally going in the office, 6-figure job, really successful. And what I found, I started to notice a pattern. At the end of every quarter, our company would take the whole staff out and we go have a great time. They rent out a karaoke bar or something like that. And we'd have great food, drinks, celebrate all night. And it would be like this sadistic, like rally cry, like we're in the trenches together, we're gonna do it, And I'd go home from those nights and be like, my life's not so bad after all. And then the next day I'd wake up and I look like this. And it wasn't because of the alcohol. It wasn't because I stayed out late. It's because there was actually something inside my heart that I was ignoring. right? And that's why so many of us are here. That's why so many of you have left jobs that you were in or decided to take control of your life and go a different direction. That's why some of you are here and looking to do that right now because of this, right? And so when I think about us gathering as influencers, as leaders, as strategists, as people who see the world through a different lens, right, I think about ships, right? I think about ships. And what I mean by ships is this, like with the internet and technology, right? Okay, there's the naval officer, Ann Vertel. Okay, she's got stories to tell you. Okay, including, here's the marketing side of me, being chained to a bar stool by the Secret Service. You got to talk to her about that at lunch, okay? All right, and so here's the thing, right? I'm in marketing. I spend a lot of my time in marketing right now, and with the way that the internet and technology and social media has proliferated our society, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. There are kids now that have never known a day of their lives without the internet, okay? And it has changed human behavior. When I think about that, it has changed human behavior. And so being in marketing every single day of my life right now, I have fellow friends who are marketers in this room. It is an ever-changing industry. Wouldn't you agree, marketers? I mean, you've got to keep a pulse on this and be able to see 2-3 years down the line. And so, like, you're not on top of it, you're already behind. And so I view internet and social media and all this digital stuff. Last night you guys heard so many people talk about podcast or launching an online course. And this whole idea of social media and the internet is actually leverage. It's a flagship in today's society. Here's what I see happening in 2, 3, 5 years. It's already happening. The internet, because it's giving everyone leverage and a voice, has leveled the playing field. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a voice. Whether you're complaining about a hotel or a food at a restaurant, or you're actually adding value to the world because you've launched a blog or a podcast and written something out of your wisdom and experience, everybody has a voice. And my challenge to you today is to speak up. Because you are some of the wisest, smartest, good people that I know. But we need your voice. The world needs your voice. Now I know that while we're here, some of you will say, well, Mike, I don't know how to use the technology, or I'm really intimidated by that stuff, or can you just stop? You've launched 3 businesses and been in the Navy, and can you just stop it? It's a computer, right? If you need to learn that in order to leverage the influence and the experience and the expertise that you have, I'm going to help you do it. That's why we're here, okay? And then some of you will say, well, Mike, I'm not where you're at, or I'm meeting these other folks in the room, and Carrie, he's got 5 books over there, and he's built 6-figure businesses around each book. I could never do that. It's too late for me. He started 5 years ago, 7 years ago. It's too late for me. Well, here's what I see. What I see is the internet and social media kind of leading the way in behavioral change in our society, right? It really has. And if you're working still in the corporate world, right, and I work with businesses all the time, they're 3 years behind. They're 3 years behind the kid who launched a YouTube channel and talks about video games and has 3 million subscribers. The companies, the small businesses even further, are 5 years behind. I mean, there are folks that I have worked with in small business, they don't even understand why you need an email list. And every day that I'm in marketing over here, I'm like, oh, my email list isn't growing by 50 people a day. I'm behind. You see, but what that means is you have this market over here that's so far, they need your help. And don't take this the wrong way. If you're in the nonprofit or church world, you are you're way behind, all right? You're way behind, right? And so what I see is the Internet of Things, social media, all this, it's creating this effect, but there are small businesses back here, corporations back here, nonprofits back. There is a wake, and all of these people need help. They need your influence. They need your expertise. So the good news is there is plenty out there. I live from a mindset of abundance. I think there's way more people that need our help than we can even help. But let's do it, right? So who do you have to become in order to serve the people you want to serve? Do you need to call Jody Mayberry and ask him, hey, how do I launch a podcast? Do you need to talk to Carrie Oberbrunner and say, I've written a book, but I undermarketed it. What can I do right now? Who's written a book here? Who has felt like you haven't marketed it well enough? Or it hasn't had the impact? Carrie? Hey, Carrie's right there. Okay, he's right there. Talk to him. Who do you have to become in order to serve the people you want to serve? I'm not sure of everyone's worldview, faith view. I'm good with everything, all right? I'm here just to help, okay? I've decided I'm going to make my life about giving people hope and clarity, right? And I know that's why all of you are here. But I truly believe this. One of the greatest gifts that God has given all of us is our potential. I truly believe that. But one of the greatest gifts we can give back to God is to actually fulfill our potential. One of the greatest gifts that God has given you is your potential. And one of the greatest gifts you can give back to God or to the world or to people or whatever you believe in is to actually fulfill it. When I think about what I'm doing day in and day out now, compared to what I looked like in my office with my head slammed on the table, I'm glad I made a decision. It didn't come overnight. It didn't happen in an instant. Rome wasn't built in a day. But somewhere along the journey, I said, I want to impact more people than this one company. And prior to that, many of you know my story. I was a worship leader. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the guy who sings and plays music at a church. And there were times where things looked really good in that career path and trajectory. Yet, when things were at their best, I couldn't help but think, and I know you guys have thought stuff like this too. For me at that point in that season of my life, it was this. I'm playing 5 songs on a Sunday morning for the same 600 people over and over again. That's what my life consists of. I think I'm made for more. I'm grateful that I'm being paid for. I'm grateful that I eat and live indoors. That's a good thing. But I think I'm made for more. And this room is full of people that have said the same exact thing. You're sitting with them. If you've ever felt weird or alone and like your family doesn't get you, your friends think you're nuts, you're in good company. This is the crazy people. All right? So you're with them. All right? So again, who do you have to become in order to serve the people you want to serve? I want you to think about that. Think about it. Chew on it. Meditate on it. Think bigger. Bigger. Think different.